Starting. Hi there, it's Analytical Chick. I have Avalon and Banksy here. This is an after stream. We just did a debate, which if you haven't watched it, you can watch it after this. It's on Banksy's channel. In fact, I'll put it in the description at some point. But Banksy was the neutral moderate, and Avalon and I had a for and against for Zionism. So now here we are having an after stream, and I'm going to invite some other YouTubers to join the after stream. So you guys talk while I message out some people and see if they want to join us.
Sure.
Some like conservative-ish, right-leaning type YouTubers.
Hello.
So I'll just say, if you want to go to the other stream, the old one where we did the debate, you can see my full conversion to a Shabbos goy. So yeah, that's interesting. And I also got a message from one of my friends, and it says, AC versus Hunter. So you're debating an air conditioner over how it's sexist for women, making it colder. Yes, I know the whole debate now. It's good talking to air conditioning units. Yeah,
I'll change that now in the description as Analytical Chick.
That's funny.
There you go. Analytical Chick versus Avalon.
Limited access.
Okay. Yeah, guys. For those of you who don't know me, which is probably everyone, I run a channel called Banksy-Style. I picked that because I went to a Banksy art show and got all inspired to do something creative. And I mostly get drunk and rant, which is I'm kind of get off my lawn kind of a channel. But
yes, I found you. We ended up talking, and you helped me out with some of my backdrop stuff.
Yeah, that was. To be honest, I thought it wasn't that difficult to jazz up some of the stuff that you had. I thought it would be quite nice to have some animation and some sort of fiery, jazzy sort of stuff going on. So yeah, I hope that that gives your channel a little bit more razzmatazz, little Vegas.
Yeah, I had done a little bit before you sent me stuff, but it was nice to just, because I was gonna like use what I had made for that other video, and then I was like, oh, I'll just use his. And also like the fact that you had like the fire going, like that would have been difficult for me to do. I could do it in my program, but it would involve me tracking a fire onto the piece, which is something I don't think I've ever really done, because usually you would use tracking with like actual people who actually like film stuff and make like movies, not people who use my software for political YouTubing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's just a green screen. I mean, all I did was find an animated fire with a green screen on the back, and simply do some key lighting in Adobe After.
Yeah, and one thing about that is because you used a green screen, I noticed that the little guy for the Gab logo was like basically gone, and it was like the stone behind it instead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, some of the bits, I don't know. I mean, if there's some imperfections, I can always work on that. But yeah, some of the bits were tricky to kind of get everything. I just the Gab logo, I got to look into that one. It could be that one. Yeah, it could be that one got a bit messed up.
It was the Gab's logo. Yeah, it was definitely the Gab logo.
So is it not there anymore, or is it's just invisible or see-through?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell because like it goes by so fast, and it still has the correct shape, but it shows the stone behind it. So if you're not like paying attention, like I didn't notice it until I saw that you were saying I used a green screen, and then I was like, wait,
that's why that one's disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, of course, yeah, because the Gap logo is green. Yes,
exactly.
of course, yeah. Anything green goes. I'm gonna have to. I mean, I suppose I could switch it to blue screen.
I have blue in the other one.
Yeah, the blue's gonna get messed up. Then, yeah, that's the problem. That's the issue with these things. If you're using any primary color, then you're gonna lose something.
I think they're like for that. Yeah, I mean the way when I animated it, I just animated the PNG. Like I didn't use any kind of green screening. I just animated the PNG over the stone.
Yeah, it's easy to do it when it's a fixed when it's a fixed picture. It's much easier to work with just still images. But when you're trying to animate things and green screen and layer,
because of the fire that you added.
Yeah, what I should do is add. Yeah, I got to do it differently. Basically, it's okay. I was thinking about things. I mean, this is like so off the topic of what you originally wanted to do. We're talking about video editing now.
Afterstream. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like open topic. You know, talk about whatever. Ask people in the side chat what they want to talk about.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't show up on the Google Hangouts when I'm talking because you've got those green circles. I was just gonna say, like, yeah, I do a lot of editing on After Effects as well, and I use a few plugins. I use Elements 3D. I use Trapcode as well. They're two very good things.
Okay, I haven't used Trapcode.
Especially good. It's really, really expensive, but there are certain ways you can get hold of it for very cheap. $0.
I can relate. I'm with you on that one. It's cool. we don't need to go into too much detail, but I will find it in the same places as you probably found it. But yeah, I mean, I've been this is my hobby basically. I've been trying to learn After Effects, Premiere, Photoshop, those core applications. Those are the three core ones. And I'm using very old ones because I don't want to pay a monthly fee to Adobe.
I actually do pay a fee because I love that. I actually love that because I feel like I don't have to I get every single package and I don't have to pay a lump sum because it would cost like a couple $100 for just Photoshop by itself, but I only have to pay £16 every month because I'm a student for Adobe Creative Cloud, which has everything: Media Encoder, Dreamweaver for websites, Illustrator for vectors, Photoshop for actual images, Premiere, as you said, for video editing, and then After Effects for video manipulation, and what's the other ones you've got? You
got Dreamweaver, you got Adobe Flash, you got InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, After Effects, Lighthouse. There's Adobe Animator now available, I think. But because I use Adobe Photoshop, the collection I use is number 5. It's Adobe Master Collection 5, which is very old. It's like, CS5. It's like 10 years old, more than that. Because of that, I don't get a lot of the new features or new plugins, but I don't have to pay any more for it because I had this a long time ago. And I just sort of figured, okay, I'll stick to it until I come across a particular thing that I really want to do that I can't do with what I've got. And then I'll move on. But I'm with you. It is a much better way of getting more people to pay for these newer applications with Adobe than charging people thousands of pounds for their collection.
I mean, there's things like Cinema 4D that I'd never ever be able to afford within a minute. Well, I can afford it, but it just seems like such a high price. I mean, $3,000 for the professional edition. I'd never be able to justify buying it. So I don't know how to use it either because it has a learning curve, so to speak. So I would just use Blender for 3D stuff. because it's free. But apparently the learning curve's even worse for that, and I haven't even began to learn about that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
I've started looking at Blender. I actually have a couple of subscribers who well, one of them, Ratty Redemptions, he's quite good at it, and he's done some cool stuff. And I've been looking at his sort of work, trying to get myself. But it's a big learning curve, and you know, if it's not financially viable, or you're not gonna do something which will use this to somehow, you know, attain a financial goal at the end, it makes it really hard to just sit there for hours on end learning something as a hobby. It's
Well,
I
I,
don't know.
I do it because of a political message that I want to put across in
Ah,
the videos.
well, yeah, the
Um,
videos, yeah, it's
my
just I'm
goals
saying,
aren't really physical; it's more
yeah.
spiritual and ideological, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, for me to sit and learn Blender for like 4 years, I don't know, a year, like, you know, hours and hours a day, just to learn Blender, just to put like 3 effects into some stupid video I'm making about replying to some TY team video. I just thought that's way too
Yeah,
much.
I
That's
totally
too
get the
much
example.
effort.
But once
Just
you've learnt those skills, you can reuse them again and again.
oh yeah,
I
yeah. I
think
mean
it's
that
really in the vision of the person as well, because it is as much of a creative project as anything. And you know, if you can't paint a picture, you can't really use Blender. You know,
mm,
um, I actually do not know how to paint a good picture, but I can make good stuff on Photoshop because I tend to just use elements from lots of different things in my videos and my thumbnails. Like I will just use the lasso tool and isolate one thing in one picture and then compile it into like a 720 by 1280 picture and make a really nice thumbnail. But I
yeah.
never draw my own shit, so
Yeah, no, you're right. That is actually um yeah. I've come to I've definitely upped my skills, if you like. I've leveled up quite a bit with Photoshop, and especially cutting things out and using other things. I've actually I don't really use. I mean, I used to use like the magic thing or the lasso thing to try to like cut things out of backgrounds and stuff. But I found much easier ways. But again, you still have to be quite careful. I'll end up with things like for analytic where the green goes missing from the logo because I'm using green screen or something like that. So I do get those occasional sort of mishaps.
what I'd do is I'd make a selection on the area which I want to be green screened, and I'll select the area with the lasso tool, and then I will either like use inverse if it's the other area I want, or and and then I will get a brush tool and just paint it all green,
That's
and
what I
then
yeah.
I will just chroma key it in, say, like After Effects.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I should have done. But I was just rushing through, and I didn't look into the green of the
Yeah, yeah.
logo on the Gab thing. I was just like I totally missed that. I
I
didn't
really
even
wish
notice
my
it.
opinion on mainstream. I really do. I really wish I was just some milk toast guy and not an ethno nationalist, because then I could show my face and create a really nice studio with lighting. And I've actually got a camera, but I use it just to take pictures of architecture within the places I visit. I'd love to. It's the Kodak. Maybe wait one
Hmm.
second. I'll just have a look.
Okay, while you're looking for that, is Enoch has written. I have to ask Banksy, where does the fascination with Israel and Jews stem from? Jews are less than a half a percent, or less than a percent of world's population. You're right. I be honest, it's really is.
It's really
You know,
funny how they hold 40% of the billionaire positions within the United States, you know?
well, that's what I think. I think maybe that's where it stems from, is the fact that although,
Yeah, maybe if
uh,
they were 40% of the population, it would make more sense. I mean, maybe that's why there's
yeah,
so much enmity, because it
yeah,
does seem ridiculous that they hold so many positions of power, and that they form the board of directors of so many media corporations like Disney and Universal Studios and places like this. I just find that annoying.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean
And then
that's
it's not just that they're in those positions; it's that the unified message of all of these media corporations and other entities of mass media, they all have an anti-white, anti-European, anti-Western message, and I loathe them for that, and hold I hold them in I have a bad view of them because of this.
But I mean, the thing is, this is something actually me and my brother we always say this. If it wasn't for the Jewish sort of population or the Jewish collective that has these positions of power, if it was, I mean, who else would you trust with this? I mean, would you rather the Arabs had it, the Chinese? My, I mean, I always think to myself, there are certain people who are competent, and the Jewish people are extremely resourceful and competent. Although I'm not saying they're like perfect. It's just they are quite competent, and they are extremely hardworking, and they are extremely focused. And it's almost like being successful is now a curse upon them. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, there's other things as well, other areas. Like a lot of people complain, like, why is the Jewish community always in the banking? Why is it that they're the ones who are at the banking? When I looked into it, I realized, in over the centuries, that the Jews have been either pogromed or they've been treated as second class citizens, especially in the Islamic Caliphate era. They were not allowed to be ironmongers because they weren't allowed to make swords. They weren't allowed to make even shoes for horses at times. They weren't allowed to even ride horses. They were not allowed to join the armies and the military. And the areas in which they were allowed to work and make money out of tend to be either jewelry or commerce. And so it effectively these by marginalizing the Jewish people, it forced them into areas of banking and areas of commerce.
Have you read E. Michael Jones or someone like that?
No, I haven't. Who's
sort of the revolutionary spirit of the Jews? Or this guy, there's been lots of really deep research into the field of Judaism within Europe and how they operated and the sort of social conditions they were pushed into. But then what they did with those conditions was abuse them. Now, they did have, in places like Poland, complete monopoly over the alcohol production industry, if you could even call it an industry back then.
Okay.
And what they did with their banking was loan money at exorbitant interest rates, and made it so that people who did take loans from them couldn't pay them back ever, and they lost their. These were usually like farmers and stuff like that, and they're people lay folk, and they lost all of their tools and equipment, and they lost their ability to feed themselves, to clothe themselves, and to have an existence which wasn't dominated by the threat of the bailiffs or the debtors coming by to take their money or to take their life.
This is the Jews you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Jewish debtors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of mercenaries and debt collectors who are willing to work for the Jews to take money off of the people who they did lend money to and those who couldn't pay the money back.
Well, I mean, obviously but what I'm saying is historically, because they were forced into certain directions, that were effectively herded into certain professions.
But they had these positions anyways. They had these positions anyways before they were herded. When they were in Egypt, they were lending money to the pharaoh, and then the pharaoh couldn't pay back his the interest or the principal fee on his debt. So
the
he started
Jews
to
were
enslave
bankers in Egypt during the times of the pharaohs.
Well, they may not have been necessarily what you would call a bank as it is today, but they were money lenders and money changers. Yeah. Obviously, they were merchants.
Yeah, obviously.
But and it's like the evolution of banking. Like banking really came from people who were trading and stuff like that, and they were getting robbed, and they started to say, okay, we'll put it in a vault. we'll put it in this vault, and then
Mm.
when they had this money in the vault, it tends to be Jews who had these vaults, and then the Jews
Well, it tend to be people who
that's just
were
how it
trading
happened.
in gold, goldsmiths and jewelry sort of dealers usually had vaults for their jewelry, and then people started saying, "Can we put my money, my bag of gold in your safe?" And then the jeweler, the
Exactly.
goldsmith, would give them a receipt for that money in the safe, and then people started exchanging the receipts instead of the bags of gold, which is kind of the inception of paper money. And the
Coins, really.
goldsmiths recognized a particular trick in that as well, which is where fractional reserve lending comes from, in which
Yeah.
not everybody comes and collects the gold at the same and all at once. So they could actually loan out more money than they actually held, because not everyone would come and collect their gold all at one time. And that's how we got fractional reserve lending out of it. So yeah, I mean, I understand all of these sort of evolutionary things, but what I'm saying is that if the Jewish people hadn't gone through the trials and tribulations that they historically have gone through, would their fate be any different than any other people around the world? Would they still be in these industries if they were allowed to be
I just don't
ironmongers
understand.
and
There's been plenty of
soldiers?
people who there's been plenty of tribes around the world who have been displaced and didn't fall into the sort of negative, field of usury and money lending that the Jews did. So I just, there's diaspora people from India, and they didn't do the same things that the Jews did. Why should we be having one rule for the Jews and one rule for the Gentiles?
Well, it's not a
Why
rule
shouldn't
as
they be given
such,
a
isn't it?
get free from jail card?
Mm. No, I mean, I'm not saying they should get out of jail free. I'm just saying that is it it's like the circumstances force them into certain uh, behavioral patterns, and those behavioral patterns became habitual, and they became the way they taught their children and their children, and so their sort of, if you like, their evolutionary path.
You've almost just reified what's that guy's name, Kevin McDonald, in saying that it's an evolutionary strategy. Are you of the same kidney on that when he says that?
I don't know that chap. I'll be honest. This is my own
He
thoughts.
wrote
He's
he
just
read the culture
spitballing.
of he wrote the culture of critique, and
Okay.
it was a trilogy, and the culture of critique was the second book in the trilogy, and it was all about the sort of the evolutionary strategy of Jews, and the sort of how do they thrive in
But
diverse. Okay.
one
Hello.
thing was, I thought that because this was the after stream, we were just gonna talk about other stuff and have this be more relaxed while I'm inviting people to the stream still.
Sorry.
Trying to get people to join the hangouts.
It became heavy.
It's very like last minute, like I posted it in this one place, and I don't think I see anyone like in the chat that, like, the one time I started a chat and a few people joined in the chat that were also YouTubers, so I invited them, but right now I don't see anyone in the chat who's like a YouTuber themselves.
Only have the creators server, which you banned me from, unfortunately.
No, I deleted the server. I didn't ban you. I deleted the server.
Oh.
So I have a channel, basically because people weren't using it, so I deleted the server. But I have a channel on my server that is like for creators, and basically I created that channel when I got rid of the creators server, but it's still not being used. And the reason why I got rid of the server was because it wasn't being used. Everybody was just direct messaging each other for streams anyway, or like they would post for a stream and then they would say the stream was full, and then like it would turn out later it wasn't. Plus, what is full? I
Um,
mean, like, I would never like put a cap on the number of people because I know, like, if you schedule a stream, you don't really know, like, people like can forget and stuff. So I would just be like, whoever wants to join, you know. So
All right. I am completely out of the loop when it comes to this sort of stuff. This is something you guys know because you guys are like, this is your in group. I'm the guy who's out of that in group. I'm not part of the cool kids.
well, you're definitely a very cool kid because, like I said, you helped me out with the backdrop stuff for my
Yeah, no, I mean
video.
that was to be honest,
I
with that
think
was
did
very
I
easy
find you
stuff.
on
It
a
was
video
fine.
about Candace Owens? I think
What about Candace Owens? Sorry.
I think that's how I found you, right? Or you found me. Like we ended up finding on a video about Candace Owens, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't fighting, but you were very critical of my intro on the Candace Owens video.
Oh, yeah. I was like, it's too
you
much music in the beginning.
you opened the comment up with, "Your intro is way too long. Hurry up and get on with it, will you?"
Oh yeah. Well, because you know I don't like Candace Owens, so I want to just get on with
Look,
the Candace.
that was an artistic introduction. If you actually looked into it, the Candace Owens called herself Red Pill Black, and the song I chose was Painted Black. No, Painted
Ah.
Red. Sorry. No. Sorry, Painted Black. Yeah, it was Painted Black by the Rolling Stones, but a new sort of retake on that. So it all actually has multiple layers to that footage and that beginning and all of that stuff.
I don't, Candace Owens, I never really understood her sort of political conversion and why she became someone who was making like a hate speech database to someone who was like, I'm pretty red pilled,
It's
And just on Joe
because
Rogan Experience 3 weeks ago, I was on Gad Saad's channel and like he's talking to like Shapiro on the Daily Wire.
she recognized there's gold in them conservative hills.
Pretty
Yeah, it
much.
really
There's
is.
gold in them
I
conservative
always
hills.
I always see the sort of the difference between, and I wouldn't consider you guys either of you alt light. I'd say you're pretty true to what you're saying, but I'd say the alt light want black people to act like white people or Westerners, so to speak, and they want to acclimatize them to the West. But then the alt right is just like, okay, we want black people to be blacks and white people to be whites, and so do the Democrats and the leftists. They want them to be who they are as well.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the
I
whole
mean,
light just is sort of
Yeah,
really
Trey has
disingenuous.
pointed this out, like how the Republicans don't prop up any black who's a bit too ghetto for them. They had to pick out someone like Candace, who I mean, a black person would call her an Oreo.
coconut.
Really? I mean, I couldn't say she doesn't look like a. She looks like fully black to me. No, she doesn't
Oh
look like
no, I mean she is obviously an African American woman, but she speaks she's very well spoken. She speaks in full words. Her vocabulary is good. She's not one of those like, and you know what I'm
not speaking in
saying.
Ebonics.
You know what I mean? She's not one of the, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So
she grew up in a white
I,
area. She grew
I'm a finna red pill these people.
and her name is
So,
Shaniqua. So it all works out
yeah,
for the
yeah.
the Paul Joseph Watson kind of crowd. Um, it's so blatantly obvious why she's doing it and where she's doing it. I don't believe a word of that comes out of her mouth. I don't believe for 1 second she's ideological about what she's doing or she's principled about what she does. She knows which side her bread is buttered, and that's what she's rolling with. And she knows, where the cash is. And right now, the tide is turning as far as the extreme left is concerned. People who used to be center are considered freaking alt-right now. And people are getting fed up of that. It's changing all around the world. It's happening in Italy. It's happening in France. It's happening in Germany. It's happening in Sweden, Denmark. Britain is Brexiting. It's clear that the left has lost its collective mind. And people who are generally just sane, normal people who have a job and go to work and are not constantly offended by a malformed tweet, are looking at these insane purple-haired feminists screeching and think, screw that. I don't want that in my life. And it appears as if people are moving to the right. I just think people are just moving to the sane. I don't see that there is them moving to the right as such. I think the window has simply moved so much to the left that it appears that anyone that moves to the center is just a crazy right winger. Because you're not willing to date a transsexual. Well, I'm sorry. If you have a penis, you are not my type. That's it. That's the only rule I have. I don't have many standards, but that's one of them. So I don't know. I mean, that's just my sort of outlook on how this situation is. But I do see a lot of people who see this as an opportunistic situation, and they see that I think this, especially this YouTube malarkey. I mean, there's a ton of money to be made if you're homing in on the right kind of demographics. Look at Jordan Peterson. He's his demographic is young men that are probably single parent, been raised in a single parent family, and they need a father figure. And bam, this guy is just providing. He's hitting
Clean
all
your
the right.
dick, bucko.
Exactly. Clean your room. Stand up straight. Shoulders back. Those sort of the Kermit the Frog. Clean your room.
Yeah, I think we should expand on that. I think where he's really coming from is that once you've cleaned your room, you're starting off small. Sorry, 1 second. I've got to. I'll be right back.
Okay. That was mid-sentence.
Alrighty then. I was like, did he cut out? Is it I thought like my computer was just not.
It's not working all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Everything died. No, I think he's somebody came in or something's happened. Someone called
Yeah, that's a good. Well, then after he said, "Hang on," so probably like his mom.
So how about you, AC? How about your
Go away, Mom. I'm saving the white race.
Saving the white race.
Yeah.
Got nothing better to do.
The internet's playing off for her, so I'm the technician of the house. So.
Oh, I see.
This taking up all the bandwidth of the.
You've been on a live stream for like 2 hours or so it's probably sucking up all the juice.
Because we did the other stream.
They're showing my internet. They're shutting it down. Yeah.
Hey man, don't laugh too hard about that. Now,
and we talked.
I can see.
You guys each talked about your channels, right? I know, like I stepped away from the computer for a few minutes at one point. I think Banksy was talking about his channel, and Avalon. Have you talked about your channel?
the agent, they cut the. I'd say. I was just going to recommend that people, everyone can subscribe to my Avalon podcast channel and be safe that I get people on who disagree with me all the time, and it's just a fun thing to do. But when it comes to my other channel, the Ethelwolf Hunter one, if you're, I'd recommend not watching those videos unless you're a white European. I really recommend. Because I think that it would put you off massively, and that
Actually,
it's more
that's the channel I
inflammatory.
want.
So yeah, both of them are in the UK, but they're pretty different politically. So Banksy is more like regular, like what we would call in the US as conservative or anti-SJW YouTubing. And Avalon is like actually alt-right. So Avalon and I had just debated for and against Zionism, and I took the for position and he took the against position, and we had that debate, which was, well, no, Glaucon, Avalon is not pro-Israel. So Avalon is one of yours, Glaucon.
I mean, you could say that I'm a pro-Jewish segregation into Israel.
Well, you are technically pro-Israel. You are technically pro-Israel.
Yeah.
You want all the Jews to go there and not live anywhere else.
Yeah, it always cracks me up. These alt-right are like, I hate Israel, I hate Israel. And then they're like, I want all the Jews to leave America. It's like, so the Jews are supposed to leave America. Israel. Like,
yeah, I think they're pretty stupid in that sense, because they basically only leave themselves open to the really exterminationist position. If you're not going to give a homeland or soil to Jews, then you're basically saying, well, if you're going to kick them out, they've got nowhere to go. So the only way you can really do that is to start, revving up the gas chambers. And I'm not saying that, but they do take on that sort of approach. I think
they say that without actually saying it, is my point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They never actually bring it to the logical conclusion, but the stances that they
Israel needs to exist.
Leave, oh boy. Oh, yay! We finally have another fourth person in the stream. So Gabriel the Samurai, who has an anti-SJW, has just joined us.
Yes, but I cannot stay. I was wanting to tell you that on Twitter. We are currently trying to get everything cleaned up as best as we possibly can, because we're putting our house on the market on the 1st, and I have a lot of work. I have a lot of work to do on my room. I really do apologize. I would love to be here. I really would, but there's a lot to do, and I just got home from church.
Okay.
So
all right.
I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
But I wanted to give you the courtesy, since you invited me, to at least tell you what was going on.
How kind of you. All right, so he's out, but that's Gabe the Samurai. He has an anti-SJW channel, and you can check out his channel.
Kind of.
SJW.
I'm kind of an anti-SJW channel. I do a lot of that stuff, but really it's just whatever the crap comes to my mind. It's because sometimes talking to feminists all the time gets really boring and really crappy. So really, I'm just a dude online who just does whatever he wants to.
Yeah, he also does like gamer type videos, and lately he's taken to speaking out against the LGBT people.
Just for Pride Month, which is almost over. I am the one annoying voice that says Pride Month sucks. It's nothing against gay people, but even my gay friends say Pride Month sucks. So if there are LGBT people that are saying it sucks, then I have no issue saying it sucks. I have no issue saying it sucks anyway, but it kind of helps when you have gay people supporting exactly what you are saying.
Yeah, when is White People's Month?
there is no White People's Month. There is not.
Well, apparently it's every single month, which apparently, because we've got privilege, it's every month, which isn't Black History Month. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm on Morgan Freeman's side on the whole Black History Month thing. It's like, when's Jewish History Month? When's White History Month? You're going to relegate my history to a month?
When's Persian History Month?
All I'm worth?
Never happened.
Is that all I'm worth is just a month? When's Mulatto History Month? I'm half black, half white. When's my month?
We're the creamy beige History Month. Damn it, I need one.
You don't count. You're not important enough. Screw you. I can't say that.
Look, I am slightly tan. my own month.
Here I am telling a gentleman that I just met, nice to meet you, to
Nice to
screw
meet
off.
you.
And meanwhile, I'm uploading a video that's a positive message to people.
Yes.
I'm
I'm
screwed.
such a contradiction. But thankfully, people understand that I am joking. I at least hope that you understand that I'm joking, because I don't go around insulting people that I don't know unless they're radical feminists.
That's
So
pretty much the internet.
yes, pretty much the internet. You
I mean,
guys
you're
have a
assuming that I do that, which I don't usually do that. I treat everyone how I want to be treated, regardless of what I think should be done on a political scale, like on a national legislative scale.
Oh, so do I. So do I. I have no issues with people. I have tried to befriend feminists, but they've turned out to be really crappy human beings. There's a feminist I actually had a history with named Janie McDermott. Um, Horrible human being, just horrible on all fronts, because of the stuff that I found out about her afterwards. We had a history a while back ago. I extended an olive branch. We made up. We had a conversation. We talked in DMs for a while, and then when she saw my stance on abortion and the fact that I was pro-life, she started taking cheap shots at me. She started calling me gay multiple times, which was really offensive. Because what if you were calling a gay person straight and laughing at them when they constantly told you no? And she's an idiot because she still thought that in the video that she responded to about me, I used one of my friends as my background. She still thought I was him, regardless of the fact that she's seen videos of me on YouTube when I've shown my face. And we look nothing alike. And the fact that she was just completely disrespectful when I was being respectful, I mean, it just shows, like, not all feminists are like that, but mainstream, even if they seem nice, they're usually not. They're usually just not. But I'll befriend anybody unless you give me a reason not to. I'm friends with atheists. I'm friends with people of different religions. I just don't care. Life is too short to care.
Exactly. I will say this, when it comes to I've seen a lot of comments about respect. For me, respect is earned. I give you respect as a human being to simply
Yes.
treat you, on par and just be cordial.
Yes.
But anything from that point onwards is what depends on your conduct and what you say and what you think and how you are as a
Oh,
person.
yeah.
And that's it.
Whenever I give my generalized Mr. Roger, which they're not generalized, I actually was feeling something after church, because I'm at a mixed race church. I'm in a black and a white church, um, and I was compelled after church to say, stop with this whole white people or white people have privilege type crap, and that black people are constantly mistreated by white people. Because when I was in church, all I saw were black people and white people sitting next to each other, hugging each other, having communion with each other, being friends with each other. That's all I saw. Not one person sitting away from the other race, unless there was nowhere else to sit. I mean, you still have the people that are like to keep to themselves, but everybody was okay with everybody. There's no there's racism's basically dead in America. It exists, but not on the
I
grand
don't
scale
think
that they're
so.
making it seem.
I
Huh?
don't think so. I think that that races, will always be irreconcilable, and I think that's why we should separate.
But
We
it's
have a
beautiful.
different way of being and existing. I
Mhm.
mean, you would say it's beautiful, but that's really just your opinion, dude. I'm joking. Um,
I know you're completely screwing around.
I'm not.
I
No.
doubt analytical.
I totally am an ethno nationalist, and I do mean that. I think we should have our own countries and our own nations and our own sovereignty, and that we should Africa should be ethnically homogenous. If the Chinese started going into Africa, I'd have an issue with that. But I have an issue with non-whites coming into Europe from Somalia, from Nigeria, from these countries. Why should my country? Why is it that everyone else gets ethnic homogeneity, but then the West and the historically white countries are melting pots for the world? Why is that the case? And you
Well,
could make the case in America that it's about slavery and how we brought them over, but you can't make that same case about Europe.
Well, no, in Europe they did actually. Britain also was very much involved in the slave trade, and they did.
No,
but
they weren't in our countries.
The reason
Sorry.
why they're doing it is the red-green axis of power. They're trying to break down the West because they want to create the new world order.
all I'm gonna say is this. My perspective on race is that we're all people, and everybody should be on, at least on a base level, respected as a person. Nobody is better than anybody else because of their race. Nobody is worse off than anybody else.
I don't think anybody's saying that. They're just saying that they want separation.
Well, Avalon is saying
Well,
that.
I know. I acknowledge the difference between races, and I say that that a white person may never be as fast as Usain Bolt. So I do say that there are superiority and that inferiority.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yes.
Well, no, genetically there is superiority and inferiority, but I'm talking about treating people as people, not treating people as the color of their skin. Everybody's going to have things that they're better at. I'm a 450-pound fat man trying to lose weight. There is no way that I'd be able to run faster than the little boy down the street who is probably 12 years old and picks his nose. No way I'll run faster than him. People have genetic differences, but we should treat people like people. That's all I'm saying here, guys.
Fair enough. That's
I can't get sucked into this. I have to go.
Yes.
Analytical check. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really do appreciate it. You're awesome. Your friends, I don't know who they are. I don't know their political background or whatever, but I hope they have a nice day. One sounds like he's British, and the other one sounds like he's from a country I've never heard of.
No, they're both British, but anyway.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Slightly different accents, both from Britain.
Yes.
Both live in Britain. Let's put it that way.
Or both from the UK, at least. I don't know. I never actually.
One sounds regular British, and one sounds drunk British.
It's it's mixed. It's my accent is muddled.
Well, there you go. Well, I will talk to you on Twitter, Analytical Chick.
Okay.
Jewish Chick, Awesome Chick, and you have a fabulous day.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go clean.
Okay, Gabe. Have a good one. Well, Gabe certainly has a big personality. That's for sure. But no, I mean, AV. I actually wanted to sort of delve a bit deeper into this this ethno-state concepts that you're talking about. In regards to, do you believe that no person of ethnic minority has benefited and tremendously sort of brought some very good positives to the United Kingdom and helped the United Kingdom to actually progress forward?
Yeah, I think Ramanujan was a great guy. He was a great mathematician, but when he came over, he didn't like it. He hated the weather. He got ill and died. The condition wasn't cordial to him, so to speak. And he did most of his great work in India, where he came from. Now, I think with the whole sort of the data streams we've got now, we can still all communicate with each other in our own sovereign nations. We can still have that, and we can still stay on our soil. Well, we don't have to not interact with each other necessarily, but we can live in the environments which are most suited to us, and we can live that way, and we can all develop separately and all thrive separately.
You can't, not really. I mean, if you think about it, here's as an example, here's a person who's in North Korea, extremely talented, an insane mathematician, just IQ through the roof. where is he going to go in North Korea? How far is he going to get? You think he's going to sit on a stream with you or anyone else and share ideas of all the things that he wants to actually achieve? Not really. He has to be out of that environment in order to be able to flourish. He can't do it in that nation, even though he may be incredibly, genius level sort of IQ and all that. There are certain nations on earth that an individual simply isn't able to reach their potential. That is the reason why the West is so attractive, because people know that if I'm good at something, I can actually get it. I can flourish. I can accomplish my dreams in these nations, but I can't in these other nations. There isn't a choice that they have. They don't have that choice. North Korea,
Well,
I can give you
when
Iran,
they
I can
come
give you
over there,
Pakistan.
right? You're basically saying, well, you're not saying this, but I'm giving you the solution then to that. Then, okay, we have a sort of colonial India solution then, or like us ruling over Rhodesia and giving our civilization, providing everyone the ability to reach their potential in their own nations by having an Anglo world dominion. Surely, is that something we should be doing?
Well, I mean, now you're saying, okay, so since we can't, since
We
a
can't. We
person,
can't. The only way we can make sure that the world is that way is if one group with our ideas has world dominion. You need to have a culturally chauvinistic view to achieve that.
well, I mean, that then goes back to effectively your colonial mindset that, well, things were great when we were colonialists because we made all these countries progress effectively because our ideas are
You give them
just better. But I mean,
healthcare and medical stuff, I suppose. But what I'm saying is like I'm not actually arguing that this is a good thing. I'm just saying like you're arguing that we can't provide the conditions that are in the West to the world. I was saying the only way we can provide those conditions to the world is through world colonialism, and not colonialism in this. It couldn't even be called colonialism. It's just white world managerialism. So we're essentially having people who are enforcing and ensuring that the Western worldview is impressed upon every nation of the world.
well, in a way, that is happening. If you actually look at how America and the West has influenced around the world, the kids are not running to shops to buy Chinese, I don't know, trousers, but they are running to every shop to buy a pair of jeans and Levi's, or they're not sitting there emulating Pakistani movie stars. They're mostly emulating American movie stars. Even though their movies are emulating American star movies. So the influences are definitely there, and it has penetrated almost every corner of the world. So you don't need to have a direct colonial, dominance to have influence. You just need to have influence, but there are still corners of the world which are oppressive, closed off, and short of going there and just having all out war. You're not gonna change things anytime soon.
It's sort of like the Civ 5, you win through the culture thing instead of military or or religion sort of thing. But yeah, I honestly actually don't wish upon my worst enemy what is going on in the West, ideologically and spiritually. I see us as materially wealthy compared to the rest of the world, but morally and spiritually impoverished. We're penuculous, or we live in a state of moral penury.
Okay, and
And that's liberalism for you.
I suppose, I mean, yeah, there's two things in that. How would you solve it, and why do you think that this is? I mean, has this at this particular juncture resulted in really bad things yet, or is it going to? Is this like the headed direction? I'm playing
I'd
kind
say
of
that's the
devil's advocate.
teleology of it's the teleology really of what the liberal worldview. it leads to egalitarianism, so everyone's equal. And what does egalitarianism breed? It breeds anarchism. And anarchism, it's proven that it's an absolutely shitty system, and then might is right then starts to become a rule again, and then you've got the whole a tribal cycle starting up again. I'm saying, why
effectively,
shouldn't
you're
we
going
reset
backwards.
ourselves? Yeah, exactly. We're going backwards to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, but then how could you progress forward by simply saying, okay, we got to chuck everyone that's a foreigner out in order to have this homogenous British collective or a white collective? And that is that the solution? Do you actually think that will work? That will be what will make Britain, I don't know, bring it back from the darkness of liberal insanity?
No, I honestly don't. I just think that's a starting point. There's a lot that needs to be done. It's the mindset of people, the media they ingest, people's values need to change fundamentally, and that takes a very long time. Now, I'm saying when we repatriate people back to their countries, I'd ideally like to diplomatically negotiate with those countries which they originally came from and figure out a solution about how to get them back to their country by almost solving the problems of their own country and then getting them back there and using a sort of a three-pronged approach to repatriation. So first of all, you have a voluntary repatriation. So we're basically saying, okay, we've got the boats. You can leave whenever you want. It's your choice. And not a lot of people do that. Maybe some of them do. Maybe some of them are just like, well, I'd actually quite like to go back there. I'd like to. And I think that you could that through media and sort of propaganda, sort of so to speak, we could aid people in wanting to go back to their countries by and then the next step of that is the incentivized repatriation. So using the wealth from our economy and using by the revitalization of the British industry, we could use bonds to give to people which are in
Yeah,
sort
but
of money bonds
I
so they
think,
send them back to their country with money. So it's kind of like the thing
yeah.
when the Jews performed Aliyah, they can have a house and land when they get there, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I mean that's how the Jewish. But the thing was, the Jewish situation is vastly different in the sense that they had, a very very harsh treatment in various countries around the world. So there was a big motivating factor to actually go to where the Jewish people are because they felt safer and they felt they would be better off. What my issue is, I'll give you my own example. I am a person who considers this country my home. This is as much my home as any Brit. I don't like living other places. I don't want to go back to the Middle East. I don't even like going there on vacations where I actually am having a good time. And because I see that there is, although, I mean, for example, a country like Dubai, there's this sugar coated topping of Vegas type lifestyle. Underneath it is an Islamist society. And, maybe other tourists don't care and they don't see that, but I do. I see that
So are you from
Islamist
Dubai?
lifestyle.
Because you're Iranian, but were you originally from Dubai? Were you born in Dubai?
No, no, no. I'm just saying, going back to Dubai, and not even looking at the oppressive regimes of Iran. I use Dubai as an example of a very liberal Muslim nation, and I don't even like living there, let alone um, going back to somewhere like Iran. Iran is as foreign to me as Mongolia is to you. This is the thing. You're not taking into account that those people who were born and raised in this country or in
Well,
Europe think of themselves just as entwined in this society.
I
and as
mean,
part
that's
of
the
the
thing is
fabric.
like you do, Banksy, but I mean, there is a problem in the West
I
with
see you as a very outlying person.
people getting radicalized. What happens is they're going to their mosque and their mosque is nice and moderate, and this chap gets off the boat from wherever, and they start attending the mosque with the second and third generation Muslim chaps who are, becoming westernized, and
Yeah. Oh no, no. Let
they
me.
managed to talk them into deciding to become radicalized.
Yeah, I mean, no. Let me explain. I'm not just talking about Muslims. I'm talking about a person from Nigeria, a person from China, a person from Korea. There are people around the world who are born and raised in this country who consider themselves as British as any, uh, Englishman, any Scottishman, any Irishman. Sorry, not Irish, Northern Irish or Welsh. So what will happen if you're looking at incentivizing people to go back to the country of origin is that there will be resistance. There will be people who go, I don't even know that culture anymore. I don't even relate to those people anymore. They are as foreign to me as they are to you. How are you going to convince that group, which I can suspect it will be quite a substantial group of people, who will simply not even contemplate going to these nations and living there? They might visit, sure, but they certainly don't want to live in those nations. Um, do you, I mean, obviously you don't consider these people as British, as English. Certainly not English, but definitely not, they're certainly
Do
not
you do
British,
you
but definitely
take do you
not
take
English.
do you take pride in England and Britain and Scotland and the traditions and the heritage? And
Yes.
is that something you
I mean,
love? I mean,
not,
have you ever looked into what it was like in Indo-Iran, and how it progressed into Islamism and stuff like that, and Zoroastrianism. Have you ever looked into sort of the history of your country and your people, and why is it that you want to feel this connection to a British people who you'll always be an alien to, compared to
well,
someone who is your actual blood and kin?
this is the thing. I've also looked, of course, I've looked into the Persian histories and the history of Iran. I'm not, I'm not saying, this is why I always refer to myself, and I don't shy away from the fact that I say I'm ethnically Iranian. I'm culturally British, because that is the reality of the situation. I'm not going to ignore reality. But as far as the British Isles is concerned, yes, there is a lot of things about this country that I love. I mean, I've got issues with the colonial era just like anyone else, but they did some great things. I don't dismiss all the sort of. I don't just throw out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to the colonial periods either. Because if it wasn't for that period, there would be no Australia as we know it today. There'd be no New Zealand as we know it today. So there was a lot of other things that went on, which I think are good in this part, in this sort of now in this particular century, that they did back then. But also they did some horrible things. But everybody did some horrible things. I can give you countless examples of the Persian Empire's horrific actions and the Roman Empire's horrific actions and the Ottomans and the Islamic caliphates and the Egyptians, etc., etc. No one's hand is clean in this world. No society, no group. I don't care where you're from. You've killed somebody, or your ancestors killed somebody to get where you are. They slaughtered somebody down the road. Nobody has come up with their hands totally lily white and clean, wherever you happen to live. So I don't begrudge. I'm not one of those people who's got a chip on my shoulder about British colonialism, because I'll be honest, my country wasn't really part of the British colony. So I don't, maybe that's why I don't have that association. But when it comes to this country, when it comes to, living, fighting and dying for a homeland, this will be it, because this is where my family is. This is where my relatives are. This is where my
So,
loyalty lies.
Banksy, question: how far back do you go for your ancestry?
How do you mean? As in, like, research,
Like,
or?
who was who was the person who physically came to the UK and planted their roots there? Was that
Oh,
your
I'm only
parents?
I'm only one generation away. Just parents. Literally, I had my uncle was here before I came. My parents and I came. So No, I'm barely, barely
So
one generation.
your parents were born and raised. Did they
Born in
like?
Iran. Yeah, absolutely.
Did they come to Iran like before they got married, or they both like were brought there like by
No,
their
no, they were
parents
married.
and then
They were married when they came.
so they were even like they actually like are very much tied to the culture, not like they were both brought when they were kids and then met from like a Persian community or something.
No, 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 no.
They met
full
in
on.
Persia
Yeah,
and
they
then
are full on
came and then they
Iranian,
have you.
as Iranian gets. But the funny thing is this is the weird thing with Iranians. You can get groups of Iranians who are extremely Arabic or Muslim, and you can get groups who are extremely Westernized, and they actually themselves don't feel comfortable in an Islamic setting. That's why a lot of them, run away, especially to Los Angeles. Los Angeles seems to be a massive thing for Iranians. So they identify much easier with a Western cultural behaviors and cultural norms than they do with an Eastern or Middle Eastern cultural behavior and norms. Yeah, occasionally you go a little bit east. You go to some belly dancing restaurants, or we eat we eat Iranian food. So yes, it's not a cut clean. Nothing is 100%. I don't just eat, I don't know, roast beef on a Sunday and drink a pint of beer and I don't know, have spotted dick. But I don't.
Spotted dick.
Yeah, delicacy.
Americans get a kick out of that because it sounds dirty.
Oh, it is. It's a dirty dessert. But anyway, I digress. As far as that's concerned, no, I don't do just that. I still have Iranian cultural norms as well. I like Iranian food. I was, raised on that stuff as well. So it is a
there any
hybrid.
figure if you look at like, because I don't know a ridiculous amount about Persia. I know about sort of Darius or Darian, or was it Darius or
Darius, Cyrus, and Darius.
Artaxerxes and all of those guys, and
Yeah.
I know about what's it called, the Pentapolis or whatever it was called,
Persepolis.
Persepolis. Yeah, I think that you could really find your roots there. I think that it would be interesting to see,
But
Iran
it
shake
says,
off the Islamic side and go back to its roots.
yeah, I
But
mean,
that's completely different, though. I
it
think that you
says,
should. I think you should have pride in where you come from. You're an Iranian man, and that your blood is there, and so you should inhabit the soil. That is.
yeah. Again, this is the thing. This is what I'm saying. It's that historically, yes, I can say that is where my people are as such. But the people that are there and the behaviors and the norms are not my behavior and my norms. I can't. Me and my brother, especially my brother's even more. I think.
Does that mean you're too
British.
inculcated into the Western liberal world? Then
Sorry.
you've got too many freedoms. You're glad you have the freedom to.
No, it's not the freedoms. No, don't misunderstand. It's the little things. It's queuing. Just the idea of queuing is something that me and my brother, we go abroad and we go to Greece for example. They have a very different queuing system over there than they do over here. They don't all queue up in line. Not everybody gets served because it's their turn. All sorts of shit like that. That infuriates me because over here British people are extremely polite when it comes to queuing, and we all stand in line and we all take our turn. And when your name is called, you go up to the window and you get what you want or whatever.
Oh God, you should spend some time in Brixton, mate.
Well, but then the thing is, do you really
it's
see
because
Brixton?
it's a multicultural melting pot.
Exactly. Exactly, because that isn't really the Britishness that I know.
But don't you think that
in London,
Britishness is originated and derived from by saying that we can give this to everyone? You take away the value of what it is to be British. You take away what Britishness really means and how it originated and how it was formed and how
You're
we
not
did
taking
develop our
away
customs
if
and who
someone
we are.
else is adopting it. You're not actually taking it away. It's like saying just because you let people, just because you eat, I don't know, a Vindaloo curry, are you taking away from what it is to be Indian? It's not. It's just you are appreciating, you're adopting a
No, but
cultural.
if I go to India, if I go to India and start, I have like say as many Indian shops per square mile that England does, and I have that in India, and I'm selling like roast dinner everywhere. Like what is that doing? What is that doing? That doesn't happen there. If I go to China as an American and just give them, I don't know, uh what other food can I say? If we give them like African food, like what the Bantu people eat,
Yeah, but
it's different. It's a
they do
different
that in
thing.
America. And to be honest, America is a much more melting sort of a hodgepodge of lots of different things. Anyway, you can probably
The
find all
fifty
sorts
six
of things.
percent.
But I mean, as far as like the mixtures of food and cultures are concerned, I think America is hard to pin down. You can go and open a frigging Congolese food shop, and if it's good food, you get customers. Nobody cares whether it's traditional American. There is no what is a traditional American food? People always say to me burgers and fries, but I don't think that's considered traditional American food as such. I mean, America is, I think,
There's certainly
it's difficult.
staples.
Sorry.
There's certainly staples.
Yeah,
I'd
they're
say.
staples. But what I mean is to say that if I go, you can do it easier, I think, in Britain or in Germany or in Denmark or Spain, sorry, than you can in America. America and Canada may be a tougher sell to say that I can go and open up a I don't know, a Djibouti food from Djibouti, and no one will come and buy it because you never know. You never know if people like it, they'll buy it. It all depends. They do have, I think, a palate that you can probably have to cater to. But considering Britain, the number one food in Britain is curry. It's clear that British people have a palate for that as well, and for the spicy Eastern sort of flavors. Um, I mean, but what the other flip side to this is if you are forcing everyone out that isn't white British and you want to make a
We're
collective
aiding
white.
them. We're aiding them out.
Yeah, but what I mean,
Okay.
for whatever reason, however the methodology is, I'm
That's
not
just
worried
the
about that.
phrasing, and it's a
Yeah,
demonizing, and it's a gaslighting term, and it's
sorry.
used by everyone from left to right to say,
Mhm.
okay, what we're going to be doing is we're gonna use we're gonna put everyone in fetters who's non-white. We're gonna violently throw them into cages, and
No,
then
no,
we're
no,
just gonna put them on shipping containers and just send them back to where they're coming from,
no, 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 no.
without even wondering if the countries that are gonna be there are gonna take them back.
Yeah,
So
no, no,
that's not the case.
no, no, no. I'm not talking about. No, definitely that's not. I'm not actually even talking about methodology. I'm just simply saying by achieving your goals of making a homogeneous white ethno-national state or country of Great Britain.
God, people will leave if they don't feel welcome. If the white birth rate increases and say we are deporting all these illegal immigrants and then we're offering all of these things and you know uh, the
Yeah,
UK goes back up from the low 80s, which is going to be in the next census, and it goes back up to like 95% because of us having a birth rate of like 3 or 4, and then also giving them the voluntary and incentivized repatriation. I think that people are just going to feel very unwelcome, very alienated, and
yeah.
it's going to be a depressing.
That's
It's going to be great for us people who are natives. It's going to be bad for everyone else, and they're going to be like,
I
"Shit, I don't
know.
feel welcome here." When I go on the streets, people are scowling at me. There's people making comments on the internet. Oh shit, I don't feel welcome here.
No,
I
no.
want to be safe in my own
That
country. So
I
they will
I
go back.
I agree. I mean, I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying.
People are already like that after all the terrorist attacks. People are feeling like they don't want to be there because they feel like the whole situation has changed dramatically, and they feel like they want to go back home. Even when they go to Sweden, they don't like it because it's cold. They want to go back.
again, I'm not dispute. I'm not. That's not what I want to get on with. What I'm talking about is if you do achieve your ideal situation with the United Kingdom and you homogenize the people and it's all ethnic, Aboriginal people of Britain, are you going to also take out all the elements that were introduced by foreigners, such as food, cultural behaviors, various different, I don't know, technologies or whatever it is that that other
I'm not even
nationalities
saying
brought
an ethno
in?
state has to be 100%. I'm not even saying that. I'm not even saying that.
So
I'm
you're not
saying that
just
it
going to go back to
probably
eating fish and chips and spotted dick?
97 to 98%. I don't know. Who knows, man? Who knows? I mean, food could be whatever it is. That's not my real priority. Whether or not I can eat a curry on a Friday night is not what I'm thinking about.
But the curry did come because of those people.
So yeah, I mean, I could live without it, and I'm sure a lot of people could anyway. So
I don't know. I don't
So
know.
what?
Have you had this conversation with your fellow ethno states, fellow Englishmen? The other part of this, which is which always baffled or puzzled me, is you do know you will get resistance from your own Aboriginal countrymen as
Yeah,
well.
they've been so
And how do you
gaslit by
deal with that?
mainstream meteor, you know.
But how would you? Sorry, I missed that. What? How would you deal with the pushback?
It's we're a long way off. Where we haven't achieved any sort of our metapolitical goals. We are far from even reaching a state where we can successfully run politically.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
as
to be honest,
I mean,
I'll
the
be
only people
absolutely
who've
honest
been
with
able
you.
to enter is UKIP and their civics.
Yeah,
But
no,
we're not ready for
that's
that as
never gonna happen.
ethno-nationalists to reach that point where we do move politically.
I'll be
And you
honest.
can say that it's
I
never
don't
going
think
to
you ever
happen,
will.
but it's going to happen.
No, no. This is I'll be straight up honest with you on that one. This is a theoretical exercise at best. This homogenistic ethno state scenario, which
Theoretical is better than hypothetical, so I'm liking that.
it's as I mean, yeah. I mean, so is I don't know having the multiverse theory. The chances of you actually accomplishing it are astronomical. And again, it will. I mean, this is, I think, similar conversation.
Are you trying to blackpill me?
No, I'm just saying, I think the reality of it is, it's like saying, there's an old expression, if my grandma had balls, she'd be my granddad. If is easy to say, but to actually bring about such a scenario, I don't actually envision it in any shape or form being a reality, because it's just not the way the world is going to go. And in fact, it has never been that way. Even the times when people thought that the United Kingdom was ethnically homogenous, it wasn't as ethnically homogenous as they like to think. History always has a slightly happier glint to it when
I mean, God, we're
backwards.
still sort of ethnically homogenous, but that's not going to be the case if the UN and the powers that be, hands rubbing together vociferously, have their way.
Well, I will say this. I certainly wouldn't really want Britain to have a white minority. I actually prefer if
Well,
there was
America's on the track to being like that, and it was
unfortunately,
90%
yeah.
before the Immigration Act of 1965.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
don't.
what's
This I
to
don't
say that
agree
this isn't
with.
going to happen in?
I mean,
We're on the
America.
right track, man. We're on the Cologne
America.
plan's real.
It's a difficult one with America. Every white person in America is a foreigner. They're not natives. There is no white natives of America. That's the problem. And so to say America will be, not
that's
majority white, it's like saying, America will not be, 50% black in the next 100 years if the blacks were the first to come to America.
The problem with that is the people who like built America were white people. I mean, when they came here, it was like just some roaming, Native Americans, probably not even a million of them. roaming throughout all of the United States. They had their little tribes or whatever. But I mean, even like 100 years ago, it was only like 30 million people here. So you can imagine,
10 times it's exploded.
Yeah, and that's a lot of that is the Hispanics they're letting in from south of the border.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be there is, I say, there has to be some level of control on that. I don't disagree, and again,
most of the Native American type people lived in what is now like Mexico and Central America. So like that's why like basically Mexican Hispanic people, they look indigenous unless they're Puerto Rican, and then Puerto Ricans look more they look different.
Like, yeah, and this is why Spanish people actually say, I'm not Mexican, I'm Spanish, and they're very adamant about that because they recognize that genetic difference.
I mean, a lot of them say that, but you can tell by looking at them that they have that indigenous appearance.
Yeah, I'm just saying people who are genuinely from Spain, actually Spanish, like came from Spain, went to America, and people think they're all Mexican.
Well, the thing is, like, there's been mixing, so I mean, everybody in like Hispaniola is possibly part Spain Spanish, but also many of them they're going to be mixed with the indigenous population as well.
They're mestizos and they are castizos as well. They are sort of Aztecs. They're Incas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, obviously there is actual indigenous Aboriginal people, natives, which are the ones who live in the reservations as well. But I'm not sure what they're, in the United States. No, in the United States.
Can I make a point in saying that you might say that they are native to America, but they're actually native to west of the Bering Strait in the cold regions of well, Russia has on its most eastern borders. That's where they're from, and it was during the glacial period where they migrated across that border when it wasn't, because look at the Bering Strait, it's only 40 meters deep. When it was the sea levels were different, you could just walk across it, and that's how they managed to get into Alaska to America.
I mean, I know that migration pattern, but the thing is, if you're taking it back, I mean, you can go back and everybody comes from Africa.
Exactly, but that's what happens when you go that. Well, no, we're all from Pangaea. We're all from Pangaea. That's a fucking retarded thing. That's so retarded. That out-of-Africa theory is so stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on when you want to draw that line in the sand of the time that you want to start, your particular history from. So what I'm saying is, prior to Europeans migrating to the United States, there was a group of people, a relatively large group of people that lived in that part of the world, who had lived on that land for many generations. This, different tribes, they were all still killing each other, but they were as close as we can now say natives, as anyone can really say native. And that population is, I don't know. I mean, is that population going to get any consideration in like, for example, if the Americans who are after the white ethno state there, they want to achieve their goals? I don't know. But what I'm saying is, when you look at America, you are looking at a very complicated scenario. It is simpler.
I reckon I'd be the most fair leader. I'm officially taking up the reins of leader of the alt-right. So I think I'm a pretty fair guy. We can get rid of all of the extreme elements, and I'll be the leader. Does that sound good?
That's how every dictator thinks.
Thank you, man.
Every despot always starts with, if it was just me, it would all be right.
I'm loving this.
I know. Oh, I mean,
I'd love to just levy put edicts out and just do things.
To me, this is exactly a kind of conversation.
No, I actually. Do you want to know what my ideal governmental system is? And I actually got this from a friend of mine called James McCulloch, and because I used to actually even consider myself a god, just a reactionary a vague, nebulous kind before I actually met this guy called James McCulloch who said, well, in British paleoconservatism, there's this idea of high Toryism or conservative gentryism, where you have a mixed government system and a mixed market system, where you have the mixed government, which has elements of a monarch, a landed gentry, aristocracy, and democratic elements on the most low devolved levels on, say, boroughs in the United Kingdom. And what this is a checks and balance system where you say, okay, if monarchy by itself, left unattended, sort of always degenerates into tyranny, you get benevolent rulers and you get these tyrannical assholes. Like John the First, who actually signed the Magna Carta, was a tyrannical asshole, and that's where the whole Robin Hood Sherwood Forest thing comes from. And then you've got the aristocracy, and you could look at Greece. Before you had Pericles, who brought the democracy to Greece with the whole sort of Athenian constitution. You had these oligarchs who just had these huge villas and estates, and they would reap the benefit off of the farmers and the laborers. And so that oligarchy is the devolution of aristocracy by itself. And then with democracy, you could look at where we are now, almost. And you could look at the Roman periods where they were more democratic, and they opened up the position of emperor to people who were provincials and not just those who were Roman-born, Roman-blooded people. And that sort of ended the period.
Well, there you go.
I think that's the most fair system.
But what I mean is, even those nations or those empires like the Romans started to incorporate at some point the others, the non-Romans. So even as this is why I think that this scenario of basing a state on a particular ethnicity, whiteness, is never going to hold up for very long, or in fact at all, is because if you just simply say you qualify because you're white and not because you have good ideas, then you will find incredibly bad people and people who do incredibly stupid things or immoral things, but they qualified because they're white. That's it. This is how we had all these horrible kings in the past, because they were of royal blood. So that's it. The daddy died.
There wasn't a checks and balances system. Look at the Magna Carta, and giving more power to the parliamentarian.
Yeah, but that was the beginning.
Look, the hundreds of years before that, you had all of the Viking and the Dane law. It was way too chaotic to form any sort of system under that. It was only until we had a brief period of stability after the Norman conquest that we were able to start thinking about things and having rulers for a set period of time. Because I think the best ruler who's ever been a king of England was Alfred the Great, right? He is my idol. I think of him as the person who I want to emulate as a human being, his piety, and also to be a leader. He was such a good leader.
But don't you think that putting so much emphasis on one particular leader, it's like the king scenario again? You get the benevolent ruler, and then you get the despotic ruler.
The system which I've mentioned, because under a constitutional monarchy, which is the sort of mixed government model, there are these balances which prevent these degenerations, and someone can be deposed, or they can abdicate to another member of the family, so to speak. And I do believe in royal blood's good. I mean, obviously, I don't agree with all of the sort of what they were doing with the whole interbreeding with cousins and the sort of weird consanguinity of the royalty of those of families of history.
Yeah. Sorry,
We
I
could
got
do
this.
things different. We could do
So,
things differently.
aha. You see, this is my problem with these sort of scenarios. This is exactly how when I discuss with Muslims in regards to like why is Islam being such a like just a massive failure, and Islamic states are mostly just failed states unless they have endless barrels of oil. And they always say to me, and
It was
especially
pretty
those.
successful during the golden period where Baghdad was the
Nah,
center
nah,
for world
nah,
culture.
this is what this to me this is Islamic propaganda. I don't see that as Islam. You see, the thing is with Muslims or Islam is that whenever they conquer something somewhere and they take whatever advancements that culture had, they just make it Islam. Oh, it was Islam. It wasn't Islam. It was that Babylonians were advanced and they were mapping the stars long before Islam came about. It's just the caliphates went in and invaded and took over, but they still carried on being Babylonians. The Persians didn't stop being Persians because they became Muslim. The Assyrians didn't stop becoming being Assyrian just because they were taken by the Muslim hordes and became
You do realize you're arguing my point for ethno-nationalism right now.
Well, to an
Like
extent.
the
But what I'm
Christians
saying
say.
is that Muslims always claim. But this is what I'm saying. Is that Muslims always claimed that Islam did this or Islam did that, but actually they have to go and prove that it was because of Islam that this culture didn't exist pre-Islam, and that this society wasn't doing the things that they were doing in the realms of science and mathematics before Islam, and it was because Islam came to that part of the world that happened, and they actually can't because, as I said, the Byzantines, the Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, the Egyptians, for crying out loud, they had huge civilizations long before Muslims, long before Muhammad was a twinkle in his daddy's eye. So they always attribute it to Islam, but it's not actually Islam. Even the numerals that they call Arabic numerals is a false statement. The reason they called it Arabic numerals was because the bishops who found the works of Khwarizmi, who was a Persian Kazakhstani, just because he was Muslim, they thought he's Arab, so they called it the Arabic numerals. He wasn't even Arab; he had nothing to do with
What
Arab.
about Al-Jabbar? He was the guy who really
Al-Jabra, again, first of all, he actually took ideas from other people and advanced them. He didn't really actually invent most of the stuff that they put again a claim to him, but nevertheless, I forgot exactly. I thought he was Moroccan or North African. I don't think you see. This is what I'm saying. When they say Arab, he didn't come from Saudi Arabia. Arabs are in Saudi Arabia and Yemen and Oman. That's the Arab that we know. That is the real Arab. Everything else, Egypt, Tunisia, Morocco, Libya, Syria, Jordan, these are Arabized people. They're not Arabs. They don't come
Oh
from
yeah,
the
sorry, it
Arabian
was
Peninsula.
It was the guy you were actually talking about who brought up. Yeah, sorry.
Al-Khwarizmi.
I thought Al-Jabbar was an actual person.
No, Al-Jabr is a person as well. He worked in the field of mathematics, and obviously discovered algebra. But I don't think he was from the Arabian Peninsula. He was Arabized. I have to look into that. Don't quote me on that's not the hill I'm going to die on today. But a lot of the things that you think are Arabic, in fact, the first of all, the Arabic numerals are not even Arabic. They're not even Al-Khwarizmi borrowed it from the Indians. They're actually Indian numerals. They were the ones who've had the first concept of zero and so on and so forth. So all of these things are misnomers and propaganda from Muslims. But even if Muslims say that a Muslim discovered this, they still have to prove it was because of Islam that this person did what he did. It was because of the environment that Islam created that this person achieved what he achieved, not because he was already a Byzantine or a Persian or Babylonian, whatever, who already was raised in that world of discovery and innovation. And in fact, the arguments go against Islam, because at about 1100 BC, Muslim innovation pretty much came to a halt. It all just pretty much died. It came to almost a handbrake standstill, because a chap called Al-Ghazali, I think, I'm going to have to look it up, as part of his work, and he was also a mathematician, came to the conclusion that the mathematics is the work of the devil. And that's it. That ended it. That ended Islamic innovation in thinking and in discovery and all the rest. And I think actually not just that, but I think Muslims became actual Muslims. Those Babylonians, those Byzantines and the Persians, they actually started taking Islam as a serious thing, and it became part of their culture. And the minute that infected, I consider Islam as like cancer. As soon as that took hold, it killed off the host. It killed off innovation and thinking and just looking at anything outside of the Quran. The Quran became the focus of their scientific knowledge. And well, you know, if you've read the Quran, you'll realize it's not a scientific textbook.
They say that the earth is flat in the Quran. I know that.
Some do, some also. There is parts. There are parts that indicate that the earth has pillars, which are the mountains that pin down the earth, which indicates sort of a flat earth. But then there's also another passage that also talks about the earth being a shape of an ostrich egg, which is still wrong, because it's not the shape of an ostrich egg. It's actually shape of a watermelon. It's just an oblique spheroid is what the planet Earth actually is. But you would think God, Allah, you know, the celestial being that created everything in the universe and is timeless and all powerful, might have known that. Oh, God.
Can I ask a question about you? So are you a scientist? Are you like a university graduate, or like what's your?
I am a university graduate. I graduated years ago, but I'm a scientific field. I'm computer science or computer information technology, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, you seem to like have a really in-depth knowledge on these certain things.
Some things I know, some things I don't. I have my good days and bad days.
And you're doing pretty well for a hangover day.
I'm every time I think I know something, I meet someone that makes me feel like an absolute idiot. So I always feel I don't know anything because I know people so much smarter than me. I think there was a quote someone said. They said the problem is the religious are so convinced of their position and of what they believe, and the non-religious are so incredibly skeptical of their own position, and they're constantly questioning themselves. And that's how it is. You know, people who are skeptical are constantly thinking that they must have got something wrong. The whole of the scientific community does that. That's why they still call things like electricity a theory. You know, they never buckle down on anything. Everything is theoretical, even if it has more proof than you can possibly imagine, because there could still be an instance where they might be proven wrong. And there's always that opportunity. They always leave that door open for being wrong. And so they never 100% say anything is 100%. There are certain things we know that are repeatable. We seem to do every time I pick up this pencil and throw it on the floor, it seems to fall on the floor. It doesn't float up into the air. But who knows? Maybe there might be a moment in the quantum realm in which if I throw this pen into the air, it doesn't fall to the floor. It might float up to the ceiling. That is an actual potential possibility in the quantum sort of realm.
Yeah. I just found out that algebra wasn't a person. It literally just means the reunion of broken parts.
Okay.
I've looked everywhere. Turns out
that might be really. It then. I thought there was an actual person, because I thought most of these things they related to a name of the person.
It means something. I forget what, but
I said it's the reunion of broken parts. That's what it means.
Yeah.
It could be that it is part of the work of Al-Ghazali. It could be part of his work because he was the one who made a lot of advancements in mathematics. But unfortunately, also, he became a religious fanatic, and then everybody took his word as gospel. It's Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. Al-Ghazali, something like that.
I'm going to go to the toilet now, but I'll be right back. I'll let you two talk.
Okay.
Okay.
By the way, is there anyone in the comments that wants to join the stream?
Anyone
like the last time I put the link in the comments and like a bunch of people joined, but it was a weekday evening. I think that because it's 4:00 now here, but it's still like early. I don't know. I guess I think
that we might get some freaks and geeks. There might be some because one time I put a link, just my stream link into the chat room. I got this total random insane individual who just wandered in, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I just searched randomly for live streams, and your link was there, so I came in."
Well, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I went live and I was like, okay, who wants to join? It was like other YouTubers who ended up joining. So like Gabe and a few others, mostly anti-SJW YouTubers.
Yeah, now that's a bit more sensible. I just stuck it in there randomly. Admittedly, there was only 2-3 of us talking, and there was literally that many people in the text. There was like 5 people in the text. So I was like, there won't be anyone. No one cares about these streams. And then random people showed up, or random person.
Yeah, I think also one of the reasons why it's quiet is because a lot of the people that normally follow the streams are Americans, and some of them like they do stuff even on the weekends. They're doing stuff during the day, and then
I mean, this is you got up. You did this pretty early in the day for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, but I figured also because originally I was debating with Avalon and having you host. So it's just like, okay, whenever I wake up and then afterwards I'll do like an open stream. So and I thought like people would like turn up and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like some people had the last time I did a stream, a few people commented on it and they were like, how come I'm never around for these streams? I want to join one. Like people that I've invited in the past. So I sent the link to all of those people. Like I emailed it to one person, I Twittered it to a few people. I put it in I have a creators section of my Discord server and I put it in there and nothing. I mean, well, Gabe joined very, very briefly, but like he didn't have to join to tell me he wasn't going to be able to join. Like I sent it to a bunch of people, so.
Well, Gabe was actually sounds like a really nice guy to talk to. He's got a lot of energy. Considering you said he's like 4, I thought he might be joking about the £400 thing.
No, he's streamed. He's done videos like on his channel. I think.
Didn't you see his cam come on for when he first joined?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Oh, did he have his cam on? Shoot, I missed that.
Well, no, it's like with these things, like you just join in and it activates your webcam automatically.
Yeah.
Don't forget to turn it off.
I
mean, like with me, if I turn off my camera, this is what you get. So
I don't even have a webcam. I actually don't have a webcam connected to this PC, so there's nothing I can do.
That's because this is my laptop. That's like.
Yeah, that's good. You put a tape or something over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, safest way. Everybody.
Well, I'm paranoid of like the NSA and stuff too.
The NSA puts tape on their computers because they're paranoid of hackers. I mean, I would never just leave my webcam on. like that. To be honest, I'm kind of concerned most of the time about my phone because I can't really put a table over my phone's cameras. It's just awkward. But I usually have my phone facing a wall or
Well,
on a
there's cameras
table.
on both sides of my phone, but it's like laying down. So
That's what I mean. It's always like either looking up at the ceiling or it's facing a monitor or wall or something, so you
Yeah.
can't really see anything.
But they still probably use the microphones on it.
Oh,
So are we gonna
definitely.
send the invite link out then in the chat?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Is there anybody? I don't think there's anybody in the chat to really invite. Unless Tomerico wants to join.
Press 1 in the chat if you want to join.
There's a lot of people in the chat right now that
There's the chat is actually quite active.
They're not even talking about us though. They're having
given
their
up.
own debates.
They're like,
I
screw
swear
these
for the past
guys.
hour they've been talking about their debates.
Like
the Gualcon just posted 2. Oh,
Yeah.
Enoch said he'd join.
No, he can't join. He's not allowed.
No, Enoch can't join.
I don't know who Enoch is. I don't. Okay. How do I?
you have to send him some sort of private message. or
Enoch,
something.
are you on Discord or email? What are you on?
Twitter?
Twatter?
Twitter?
Discord is the best.
Discord is good.
I am from
The Golden Heights.
in Israel.
Golden Heights in Israel. Wow, he actually is in the Golden Heights.
Tomerico is also in Israel, so maybe I join the chat. American Patriot. No, Rabbi Glickman. I can't join. I don't know who they are, but they can't join.
Rabbi Glickman.
I'm
on Discord. Oh, Rabbi Glickman. he's asking.
Yeah. No, he can't join.
Has he been on before?
No, not exactly, but I know like he joined and left Luke Ford's, but also because he's particularly abrasive in the chat.
Well, it's your show, girl.
Yeah, exactly.
You do you. I myself quite like abrasive people. They're the most fun.
You're roasting her now. This is fantastic. Can't beat this.
Actually, since we're kind of looking for something to discuss, whilst AC is looking to invite some people, I will get on.
I don't know. Are we getting sick of streaming yet?
It's up to you. It's up to you. I'm quite good. I'm all right for a.
Okay, because I've been getting up and doing stuff, and you guys have been chatting this whole time. So
so you're just doing your thing, and we're just chatting away.
Well, I had to pee, and you guys were talking, so I got up and peed, and then I made food, and then the buzzer went off, and I went and got it. So
awesome. So you basically had a whole day whilst we were just chatting away. The one thing that I wanted to just put out there into the world is in regards to people's sensitivity on the internet. I think that the problem with what's what I find in this modern era of Twitter and Facebook and stuff is a bunch of normies who came onto the internet, and those who were on the internet from, I mean, I've been chatting online since the mid-90s. Now, I don't want to give away my age too much, but I've been chatting a long time, and there's a lot of shit that we went through, back in the days of AOL and CompuServe and just insane sort of periods. And
Yeah, I started out, I had Prodigy, AOL, and CompuServe. Didn't like
Wow.
CompuServe. I dropped it. So then I had Prodigy and AOL, and then
Yeah.
eventually I dropped Prodigy.
Damn, girl, you're showing your age. I thought you were born like last year.
No. No.
Damn.
I think I'm around your age.
You remember Prodigy and AOL and CompuServe? Holy crap! I honestly thought you came to the world at the time of Twitter.
No. No,
man.
no.
But yeah, you see, this is the thing. So if you're an old school internet user, if you like, if you're from the 90s especially, and early 2000s, when a lot of chat programs, ICQ and Yahoo Chat and Microsoft Messenger and those particular eras. And I discovered another program called Pal Talk, which is still going on like the others. We literally, I mean, I spent 3 years in just insult rooms. You just walk in there and you just call everyone something bad. That's how it was. At least that's how they are. They still are running like that. You just you roast the living crap out of everyone, and you get roasted and you roast back. And I think that develops a certain level of tolerance for trolls. That when the normies came in, when the Twitters and the Facebook types, and when Christ, I got off Facebook when my mother said, "I'm on Facebook, friend me." That was it. That was like, okay, it looks like Facebook is no longer a place I need to be.
Yeah, Facebook is like, I have this one Facebook friend, and she's like, she does everything on her phone, and like, I'm like, oh, are you on Discord? No. She said she can't like develop it. She's not even on email. Like, she can't even email somebody, and I'm just like, that's
Yeah, I mean, some people are just not into the whole technical.
well, she's using her phone, and she's saying like her IO, like she's got problems where IO won't let her download this app and that app, and I'm just like, get a computer, lady.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's the second half of this tale is, first you had people who, as I say, all the normies started joining the Twitters and the Facebook type of social media, and they had no idea what they were getting themselves into. And then when the mobile phone came out, that made it even more accessible to everyone, including 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds.
Well, when phones became like mini computers, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, smartphones. When the Apple iPhones and the
Right.
and the Android phones, when they came out, not actual like flip phones, mobiles and stuff like that, but actual smartphones, and you could use Twitter and Facebook and all that on your phone. Then it opened up these social media avenues to everybody. I mean, every Tom, Dick, and Harry. But this core group of people who used the internet back in the day, and they used to roast the shit out of each other, and they used to troll each other, and used to do the most god awful things that now would literally, in Britain, send you to prison. Now it would literally send you to prison now. These groups of people, they didn't go back, they didn't leave these normie platforms like Facebook and Twitter. They thought they could just hang out in them and just fuck with the normies. And they should have, I think, gone off those platforms and gone back into the shadows, into the trolling shadow rooms where they should be, because that's where everybody understands the rules of the game. They know how to fuck with each other, and who should be messing with who, and who should be trolling who, and how to sniff out a troll. And that was fine. It's okay when the trolls are together trolling each other. Is when the trolls started to come out into the world of the normies and start trolling normies. The normies just lost their shit. They don't know how to handle this. They don't know how to handle someone who's just fucking with their mind, telling them shit that they're like, what the hell are you talking about? So that's why we have now governments legislating laws Literally, you can go to jail in Britain for the wrong tweet. But if you're that kind of person who's going to send those incredibly wrong tweets, you shouldn't be sending them in Twitter. Just send them in. But I think people who do that, they want that attention. They covet the attention. They want to have the spotlight on them, because I know what I can put on fucking Twitter and not. I could put some most insanely racist, anti-Semitic, anti-Islamophobe, homophobic crap. I've got lists of the shit that I could put on Twitter that would, make people's heads explode. But I'm not gonna do it because I don't like to be in jail picking up soap for the next 3 years from Tyrone. So no, I know what I can do and what I can't do on Twitter, but I also know what I can and can't do on Pal Talk and other fringe social media applications, which the people who I do it with and talk to will not have a meltdown, because we're all on the same page. We're all just as crazy and messed up as each other. So I think this is where the imbalance has come. The old school internet guys and some of these new edgy kids are on too many normie platforms. I consider Facebook and Yahoo. I'm sorry, YouTube. This is a normie platform. This is not really a platform.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it is, but you'd be surprised. Like the people who are really normie, they pretty much stick to Facebook. Hunter's internet had cut out, so he's
Oh, I see. That's why it dropped off.
Yeah, so it looks like he's dropped again.
And we're back. And we're gone.
Back
and
again.
we're back. We're in, we're out.
Back.
We're in.
Speaking of normies, he's on 4G, so he's doing it with the phone stuff.
You're doing it on a 4G phone. You're not even on Wi-Fi phone. Dude.
Oh yeah, my Wi-Fi. I do have Wi-Fi on my phone, but what happened, right, was my internet cut out on all my devices, so I had to use 4G.
Oh, I see. But the home broadband went down.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. That's what happens when you live out in the sticks, dude. Move down to the metropolitans.
Never. I'll remain here.
You know we're going to get one gigabit connection in London soon. We've got a company called Hyper. What was it? Hyper. Shoot, I forgot what
I've seen that. You can get it in a lot of different places.
Yeah.
It just depends on whether or not you can get fiber to the premises.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean that's it. That's what they depend on is fiber connection. You got to get a fiber, and in London at the moment, there's I mean I've got fiber. I'm on a fiber line myself. Usually my connection is solid. What was the name of the company? Do you know?
Hyperoptics or something.
Hyperactive.
Optic. Sorry, Hyperoptics. Yeah.
Yes. That's it. That's the one. Hyperoptic. Yes, that's the company. That's what I'm thinking about it. Although as I say, I've got a pretty solid connection myself.
What are you with Virgin or something?
Yeah, I've got a Virgin fiber.
Wish I had Virgin. Yeah.
You guys have Virgin as well?
No, I don't. I can't get it where I am.
Yeah, that's what I mean, man. That's what I mean about the sticks.
I used to have it when I used to live down south.
All right.
I used to get 256, but now it's like I've only got 8 where I am now.
8 gig.
Holy 8 megabyte. 8 megabit.
8 meg. Sorry, I want to talk about 8 gig. 8 meg. Oh my god, how the hell do you fucking live? That's not even right. That's like some sort of United Nations human rights issue, isn't it?
I wish it was. Yeah.
You should be appealing to the European Court of Human Rights. How am I supposed to live like this?
Well, you know what I did? I was so desperate for fast internet where I was. I set up a companies with Companies House, and like I tried to like have a legitimate company. Yeah, Companies House. I was trying to make a company, but it specifically wasn't just to get internet. And it's dissolved now. But
Wow.
yeah, when you have a company, you can request that they lay down fiber to your premises. So
Okay.
I'm like 1.8 miles away from my nearest cabinet, and it's all copper up to the cabinet, and it's fiber to the cabinet.
Oh man.
So
That is a
it costs
bitch.
ridiculous. Then I realized I thought I priced it correctly, but the line rental's like 1.8 thousand pound per year, and then to get it all laid
Whoa.
down, it was something like into like the 30 or 40,000. It's ridiculous.
So it's about $2,000 a year for the line rental. That's actually not too bad for a business line as a fiber optic. Although, don't get me wrong, home broadband is far cheaper than that. But I'm saying if you had to get it on a business sort of contract, that isn't that bad. I mean, for our MPLS lines and stuff, we pay well over £1,000 a month. Um, but as far as yeah, having it brought all the way from that wherever that box is to your front door, that's the part that's a bitch. There is potentially some options in regards to a stronger Wi-Fi broadbands. Some people are dabbling with those, but I'll be honest, I just find
I looked at satellite; it's terrible, and it costs way more. I need to get the same results. So
yeah, satellite, and it's unpredictable as hell because of weather conditions. You're literally at the mercy of the weather, and it's a
where
nightmare.
I live, where I live, that's not a good thing.
I know you said you were
I mean,
like
the
up
sky's
north.
not even
so-
reliable either. The sky TV's not even reliable where I am. So
Bloody hell, bloody hell. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's why you can't.
we get
I
like
remember.
gale force winds where I am.
I remember a time where people used to use radio for their internet. They used to have radio transmitters and actually use radio over distances and with boosters
You were
along the
dial
way.
up as well, didn't you? You were probably around for dial up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dial-up was the go-to, but there were some people who actually used to use like a CB radio signals to run their internet, and that was nuts. That was just insane. But yeah, dial-up was what I all the 90s, all the way up until early part of 2000, the millennial, where I transferred to broadband. There was no broadband; it wasn't even available until I think 2002, 2003. So yeah, no, broadband is
Yeah, I started out with dial-up.
yeah.
When I lived in San Antonio and when I was in high school, I had dial-up. And
That's
then,
it.
And then I very briefly, before I moved to New York, lived with my dad. And he had, I had to convince him to get internet. And yeah, he got dial-up. And I think that was when like broadband was out, but it was like really expensive still, and it was new.
I mean, the first types of things that came out were ISDN lines, and a friend of mine had that because he worked for a bank, and it was 128 kilobytes, not megabytes, because right now we deal in megabytes. It's 128 kilobytes, but the dial-up speed was 56 kilobytes. So it was,
yeah, my first modem
double.
was I think 14.
Yeah.
It's
Oh my
fast.
God. Oh Christ. Yeah.
14.4. Does that sound right?
Yeah. That's it. I had one of
I can
those.
still picture it. It was like gray or like a beigeish gray.
Yeah, yeah. There's a little box that you connected it to, which was an external modem.
Yeah, and it had the lights and it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Exactly that. and then yeah, and then after that, actually, it wasn't very long after that, at least for me, that 56K modems came out, and also internal ones. You could put a card into your desktop and have it internal, and then yeah, you plug your telephone line to it. The problem is when you're using dial-up, no one could call you. If someone called you, you'd drop your connection.
Yes.
That was awesome.
And it used to take so long to get connected.
Oh,
Or like if somebody in the house would pick up another extension.
it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I mean, if someone picked up the extension, if someone called you, also like a 2 megabyte, I remember 2 or 3 megabyte MP3 file, like a music file or something, would take hours to download. Just waiting for this one song. I'm like, come on. That's why things like YouTube and stuff were practically impossible back then. I mean, admittedly, no, this conversation that we're having, we could do it on a 56K, not through YouTube, but other applications, other sort of VoIP type applications. So we could have the voice conversation, but you couldn't have the graphics. You couldn't the chat. I suppose you could have the chat as well, because the chat was Pal Talk. I mean, I was using that.
Well, yeah, like somebody in the chat is talking about like a what you call it, BBS in DOS. I used to call those local BBSs.
Yeah. Oh my god, Luke ran 4-line.
Oh my god,
BBS
I really have got to leave this this boomer rapping fest,
Sorry, dude. Sorry. This is like fucking we are talking about.
This is too boomerish for me.
This is a little bit too old school.
We're reaching peak levels of boomerism.
Oh, sorry.
Or
good interjection. Good interjection.
Yeah, I'm gonna go now, but I mean it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll be interested in getting you on my podcast at some point, Banksy, if you're down
yeah,
for that
dude.
in the future.
I'm more than happy. Just let me know when.
Hey, what about me?
Sure. You can come on as well. We can read chapters of the Culture of Critique together. That's my Twitter handle, so I've put that in the group chat. So you follow me and send me a message, and we'll talk through that. Yeah, or we could go on Discord. Actually, we're on Discord, so I could just message you on there. So
exactly.
Well, we could totally, But I mean, yeah, it's been lovely. Thanks for having me on. Anime Chick, and thank you for having me on, Wanksy. It's been brilliant.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. Thank you, Analytic, for setting all this up. She's the gal for this. She made it happen.
Well, Avalon and Radical Ryzen messaged me and asked me to do the debate. So we asked you to host. Well, I asked you to host, and now here you are.
Well, thank you, guys. I mean, I'm more than happy to call this a day as well. What do you think, Analytics? Are you?
Yeah, we've been chatting for a while.
It's been a few hours. Yes.
Yeah. For those who don't know, we had a stream before this that I put in the description. It was a debate, Zionism for or against, and then we were starting to get off topic. And I said, "How about we turn this into an after chat and we'll move it to my channel?" We were hoping to take the people from that channel and move them and get more people. So I think my channel was about the same number of people though. So
yeah. I mean, yours was actually a lot more. I think mine was about 10. Not even that. 5.
Okay, well, we're up to 15 viewers. So yeah, maybe another time we could all do another open stream where we can just kind of talk about different topics.
Sure, let me know.
Yeah. I'm just a bit tuckered out, guys.
Yeah, it's better with more people too. 3 people is kind of too small. 4 or 5 people, 6 people, because then people can take breaks and you don't have to ask people hey, I'm stepping away, cover for me. But anyway,
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll definitely talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.
all right.
Yeah.
Thanks
Auf
everyone.
Wiedersehen.
Thanks everyone for stopping by the channel. I will see you all next time.